Hey you guys, so this is not my normal setup, but I thought I watched the part one of my testimony and I thought it was kind of incomplete. Um, and so I thought, okay, let me just do this real quick and try to throw this up before I upload part two. So, by the way, happy Valentine's Day. All the love and all that good stuff. All right, so let's just jump right on into it. I think what I should have said was I talked about one of my struggles being fornication. I think to backtrack a little bit, I think what led to that was my struggle with insecurities. I think that's very apparent in the fact that it was September of my college freshman year, and the first thing I do is get a boyfriend. I was searching for validation that I was beautiful, that I'm worthy, that somebody wants me. And so I was dealing with all of those things, what the word said about me. I didn't know that God thought I was precious, that that He had a plan for me, that He had a purpose for me, that He created me. When He was creating me, He had a thought in mind first, and then He created me. So I didn't know that there was a reason for me to be here. I didn't know that He created me in a special way with my special traits, and that He knows each number of hairs that are on my head, that He knows me. I think one of the most amazing things that I did, not recently, maybe like a year or two ago, what I realized was I think we got to start making scripture personal. So when He says, I knew you, I knew you before I created you, or I shaped you in your mother's womb, I think we need to start putting our names in it to make it personal. I think that's what helped me a lot in renewing my mind, is the scriptures are not just words in the book. Like, it's time that we got to make it personal. So in your Bible, if you're I should have brought my Bible, but like, I'll put my name, like Sherelle. Like, I'll put my I just gave my government away. I'll put my real name in there to make it personal for me, and in doing so, it changes my thought, it changes my relationship with God, because it's not just His word, it's Him talking to me. So in my struggles with insecurities, that led me to have such a distorted way of thinking. My college relationship, which was my first official boyfriend, I was a very mean person. I was not nice. Like, I mean, I was cool to hang out with, but on the inside, like, we argued hard. I think any of my friends who knew me back in college and knew us back in college will tell you we went to war. Like, I was just a nasty, like, I would say things that, oh Lord, thank God for change, because it was just wrong, and I just had no filter. Like, it was just whatever came to mind, that's what I'm saying. And you couldn't tell me nothing, okay? And so I was just a nasty person dealing with insecurities, trying to figure out who I was. And at the time, he was a broken soul too. So at the time, I'm just reflecting what he was giving to me, which at the time was just a nasty attitude. It was just bad. I jump into my second relationship. Let me backtrack a little bit. So during all of this, I'm battling insecurities, fornication, and then the thought that being single meant I wasn't worthy or I wasn't wanted. I don't know why my train of thought went that way, but it was, if you're single, that means you're not wanted. That means nobody is checking for you. That means you're not pretty. That means you're not, something that's on the radar or whatever. Nobody's checking for you. And so that's what I thought, and I hated that feeling. And so to me, it was, okay, I got out of this relationship ended, let's jump into the next one. And then so with that messed up mindset, I jump into my second, well, I can't really call it a relationship because we were never official. So situationship, we was friends with benefits. So I jumped into that, and I start to reflect his attitude. And I don't want to bash anybody because that's not nice. So, and I'm really hoping, in all sincereness, that he's changed and he's doing better. But he was a broken soul. Like, he was a distorted spirit. And so I started to reflect that, and I didn't know who I was. And so I started doing things and behaving in a manner that was not okay. That was, whatever he wanted me to do, that's what I was going to do. I wasn't really going to say no. Even when I tried to say no, I bent, and, I ended up doing whatever he wanted me to do anyway. And I was just like, so I got to the point towards the end when Christ really started speaking to me, and then, I ended up getting saved from that situation. I was just feeling so depressed. I remember at the end of that relationship, my mom was away, and when she came back, I had already ended that situation with him, and I remember sitting in the kitchen, and she just looked at me, and she goes, "You're happy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, okay. And she's like, "I miss this." She's like, "I miss seeing you this happy." And so she's prodding. She proceeds to ask me about the relationship or situationship, and I tell her, I'm like, I ended that. It wasn't good. And she goes, "I'm so happy. I didn't want to say anything, but I can see that you were depressed. I can see that you were sad." And so that was really cool that my mom saw that, but she was trying to let me work it out. So that was really cool. But it was just a dark time. That situation, not knowing who I was, I started molding to whoever they wanted me to be. And so now I'm finding out, and to be honest with you, I don't know. Listen, this morning, I think I figured out something new about myself. Okay? So this is a continuous journey, but I'm learning that it's okay to like what I like, to dislike what I dislike. It's okay for me to be reserved at times. It's okay for me to be loud and rambunctious. It's okay for me to figure things out and to, have a basis. But my foundation now is, what does Christ say about me? Does this fall in line with what he says about me? If it doesn't, I have to reject it, because it doesn't fall in line with my Lord. It doesn't fall in line with who created me. If he created me, then who are you, or what is this thought to make me feel a different way or to make me think a different way? You didn't create me. So makes logical sense, right? And so now that I'm getting into my word, again, making it personal to me, I'm starting to understand who I am. And what I've meant to do, and pursuing my purpose and learning what that purpose is and developing it. Another cool thing though, so in learning what my purpose is, I've learned that God is so awesome. I've had all of these qualities all of my life that are helping my purpose, that are contributing to my purpose. And back then I didn't know what they were. And back then, people would try to make me feel like I was wrong for doing it. I'll give you an example. Writing. I've always written. I'm always journaling and, all this stuff and writing short stories. I've always done that. Never in a million years thought anything of it. When I was younger, dealing with fornication and insecurities, my stories and my writings were alongside of, sexual stories or stories about sadness and things like that. But I was writing. And now that I'm getting into my purpose, I'm figuring out like, wow, like writing really helps me do what it is that I do. Like, is what I do best, it's what makes me happy. Like, I feel fulfilled when I'm writing. And it's been there all along, but I didn't know that it would lead to my purpose or it would fit into my purpose. So those are some of the cool things, that I felt like I didn't really tap into in the first video, both in these videos and in my actual blogs, that I don't want to bash anyone. I don't want to bash the guys. What I've learned is that there's no healing for me if I'm bashing them. And I recognize now that they are broken too, or they were broken too. And that listen, I don't know, whoever's out there that was praying for single sisters, that was praying for young women to be restored. Whoever you are, know that your prayers were not unanswered, because I am one of these young women who have come into the knowledge of Christ and come into the knowledge of who I should be, who I need to be, who God created me to be. And so now that I've come into my right mind, I don't like to bash them. You know what I mean? I don't want to, and I don't use their names specifically because I don't want anyone to go and, research and, you used to do this. They used to. I'm praying that God changed their hearts and that they're different people now. I'm praying for child. One of the hardest things God had me do last year was I was dealing with forgiveness. And y'all, would you know, the Lord had me pray for specifically the Friends with Benefits, his wife or future wife. That was tough for me, okay? Like, I mean, I don't want to do that, but it freed me in praying for him. And so I'm hoping that his heart has changed. Both of their hearts have changed and that they're different now. I'm praying that they will come into the true knowledge of Christ, and that they serve him and that they love him. Yeah, and so that's part of my testimony that I felt like I left out, and I'm hoping that it fills the gap in a little bit for you guys. So official part 2 will be loaded on Saturday, so you guys check out that. And I thank you so much for checking out my videos, and I hope that this helps somebody. If there are topics that you want me to talk about, feel free to write a comment or email me and let me know. I'm pretty much an open book. Like I said, I just don't use names because I don't really want them to be bothered or anything like that. But pretty much an open book. If I can help a sister out, especially my college girls, whoo, Lord, I know it's rough for you guys, especially if you're Christian and you're at college. It's crazy. But especially to you guys, if you have any questions, I am here for you. I am always, always, always praying for you guys. So, love you.